Good?
We're rolling.
Okay, everybody's good? All right, let's call this meeting to order. This is a regular meeting of the Flagler Beach City Commission. Today is Thursday, February 24th, 2022. The time is 5:30. This meeting will be continued until all items are complete. Mayor, if you could lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance, and we'll follow that by a moment of silence to honor our veterans, members of the armed forces, and first responders.
I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. All right, a little bit of housekeeping. If everybody could take a look at their cell phones and make sure they are on silent vibrate or turned off, please. And Mayor, we have some badge presentations.
We have two certificates of recognition tonight, and I'd like to bring up Chief Pace.
If I could bring Trey Poera and Kayla Mullen up front, please. So I just wanted to go through a few notes with you, considering Trey and Kayla. We're here this afternoon to recognize Trey Poera and Kayla Mullen. Trey has been a member of the fire department for 3 years, and Kayla has been with the agency for 2.5 years. Both Trey and Kayla began their tenure with the department as volunteers before they were offered their full-time positions. The fire department has an intense training schedule for its newest members. Rookie firefighters are expected to obtain state certification as driver engineers, aerial operators, and begin their Fire Officer 1 series of classes early on in their careers. Both Trey and Kayla have completed everything requested of them without question. In addition to daily duties, internal training, they both somehow found the time to become certified Marine Rescue Operators. By having the expedited training schedule, Trey and Kayla were viable candidates when the department had open driver engineer positions. Testing for driver engineer is compiled of 5 stations. This includes driving proficiency, aerial operations, pump evolutions, a written exam, and an interview with the chief. Both Trey and Kayla did excellent going through the process, making the transition to driver engineer seamlessly. I and all department members have a great deal of respect for Trey and Kayla. I am proud to announce and present to you Trey Poera and Kayla Mullen as the department's newest driver engineers. That'd be great.
One, two, three, cheeseburger.
Burger. Congratulations.
Congratulations. Trey, congratulations. I congratulate you.
Very exciting to have them on board. And that's all for you, right, Mayor?
Yes.
All right. Next is deletions and changes to the agenda. Penny or City Manager, you have anything?
I have nothing.
Okay, and any comments or action items that will get addressed?
I had an item, but after speaking with the city manager, and it's on revenue streams. I will wait until the next meeting.
Okay. Any other potential action items that get brought up on our comment? All right. All right, we'll move on to public comment. This is for comments regarding items that are not on the agenda. Citizens are encouraged to speak.
Intergovernmental update. Did you skip that?
Raleigh doesn't have his amended.
Yep, I don't have the new agenda.
Yeah.
Is it, all right? Where's Al?
Al's
Here's
over
Al.
there.
Al,
Yeah.
come on up. Sorry, I didn't have you on the agenda here.
It's the only change.
All right.
Thank you. Good evening. I think you all are aware that we were able to secure the signature of another owner in the project area, which has moved us very close to the goal line. We now have all but one owner who has signed. I wanted to do three things tonight very quickly, if I can. One is I wanted to give you a sense of the amount of effort and cooperation that comes to bear when we are trying to address all of the concerns of an owner. And I want to use the example of the present owner, Mr. Searles, and Ms. Vogel, who in the end were very cooperative. So I want to do that. And next, beyond that, I want to show you in particular some aspects of Mr. Searles and Ms. Vogel's property that pertain not just to those in the federal project area, but in those areas that we are going to continue to do dune restoration. So it's really an object lesson using our modern technology. And then finally, I want to talk about where do we go from here. So I'm sure you all greeted the news very well, as most people did. It was a very significant, I think, significant milestone that we achieved. A couple of reasons why it was a milestone, not just because we got the number down, but I think it reinforced the confidence that the Army Corps of Engineers has in our efforts, our local efforts, all of our combined energies to make this project work. And that's very important that you have that trust and that excellent working relationship. So obviously that is a very signature outcome in being able to secure that easement. Now, in securing this easement, I'm sure you all know because of the length of time it was very difficult. And I know I've acquainted you, and you've probably been able to see public records and so forth, that reflected that Mr. Searles had a lot of misgivings about the project of all kinds. And to be able to address them required being respectful and hearing what he had to say and understanding what he was driving at and appreciating the experiences that he had that led him to that conclusion. One of those, as I'm sure you're aware, is that he has a very healthy distrust of government. So here I am, an agent of the government, attempting to persuade him that this is in his best interest. And how many times has he heard that over his lifetime? He's a very successful businessman. So this is an individual who's been around the block, and the government has let him down on many occasions. Now, he resides in an area of South Florida where there isn't that healthy relationship that exists between local government and its citizens. The local officials are far removed from the constituencies they represent. Here, it truly is a lot different. That's why a lot of us are here. That's one reason why my family relocated here. So I had to explain that difference and reinforce it. And I think that he saw a tremendous amount of the community come together. See, I want you to think about a large urban area. They don't see those things. If there's some project with a rallying cry, unless it's, super charged, and there aren't many of those, say save a park. So maybe there's a constituency in that neighborhood that fights in battles and goes to the local government, but the rest of the community is really not in touch with that kind of advocacy. So people in large urban areas are removed from the valuable contribution of grassroots efforts, which all of you understand. So the kinds of things that we brought to bear, which I don't think would be similar, and I'm not trying to say this to criticize any other area. I'm just saying we're very unique. We have very unique skills, a unique sense of community, a unique commitment to our future. So our county commissioners, he asked, I would tell him this stuff. Well, the commissioners can change. They can. You might not be there, Hadid. You say all this wonderful thing, but you'll be gone. I said, this is part of our fabric. You need to understand it's part of our fabric. And he wanted to have all the phone numbers of the county commissioners. And I know that there are 3 of them that he called. I don't know. The other 2 might have gotten calls and didn't mention it to me. But they spent a long amount of time speaking with him. One of them thought he had secured his consent. His takeaway was, he's going to sign. He called me up and said, Al, good news, he's going to sign. The most important thing about that was that the local officials were accessible and were willing to talk to him about his issues. And guess what? They already knew what his issues were. He didn't really have to educate him about what those issues were, and they could speak to him knowledgeably. Just imagine the impact on him as opposed to whenever he might have spoken to a local elected official or some other kind of official in a more urban community. He wouldn't have had that response. So I thought that was a huge contributor. Another is the Army Corps of Engineers. He, again, didn't trust what I had to say, didn't trust the Army Corps of Engineers. Any of you might have talked to him, you would have learned that. He had a very bad experience with an Army Corps project decades ago in South Florida, and he still harbors a lot of resentment for that. And so I said, look, I can arrange for you to speak with these guys. They're not the same engineers and the same mindset that was around 30, 40 years ago when you had, in your view, your beach totally disrupted because of a restoration project. And he finally took me up on it. Now, I know that Mr. Cooley has had a lengthy conversation with Mr. Searles. I know that the city manager has too. I don't know if any of you others have had. But he really dominates your time in terms of wanting to express his views. But we have to be respectful and listen to those views. Well, he called the Army Corps of Engineers, and they assembled their engineer design team to answer some technical questions. They were available to him to respond to questions. He even got to the attorney for the Army Corps of Engineers that supervises or has the jurisdiction over the Jacksonville office. So he talked to the project manager, I don't know, a couple of times. So all of that was made available to him. How likely do you think that might have occurred in a more urban setting? I don't think that it would be so likely. Our county engineering office was very responsive to his requests. Literally, we had questions responded to within 24 hours. How often do you think that might occur in another highly urban community? I have to say that, and I don't know if you know this, but constant is probably overdoing it, but regular if not constant communication with your city manager and your city attorney, getting guidance saying, look, what do you think about this? This is where it's going. How do you react to this? Always They're a font of wisdom, a font of good advice. They were very helpful to me. I never had any trouble reaching them. And I mean, I would say, William, can you call me the next moment you're available? And literally, I would get that call. And Drew, you know, he's got a busy law practice. He would drop what he was doing and pay me like 150% attention. I couldn't believe it. And I know they saved me a lot of time. You have no idea. Why? Because they kept you informed. Imagine if I had to put all of you on the call list of something that I was contemplating doing. I mean, it would have burdened me. Not that you would have been a burden, but the more people I have to call, the more bases I have to touch. It just interferes with my effectiveness because I can't be as efficient as I like. So all of this grassroots stuff, you may think of it, some people might think of it as, well, that's a lot of time. It is a lot of time, but it really does promote efficiency from a governmental perspective. The members of the community, people were calling me, giving me advice, views, and very well-meaning. And, you know, there have been some very significant people. You know, I don't want to go a lot into the GoFundMe group, but, you know, they were incredible. Carla Klein is always willing to talk to me whenever I want, and sometimes she'll just call me because she needs to talk to me. Mr. Searles' neighbors spoke to me, you know, about the situation because they were very concerned. They, you know, he was the only one in the block, only one in the whole block that hadn't signed. And so it was a real interest to them, and they kept in touch with me and gave me ideas. And then I mentioned that I wanted to do a couple of things tonight. So the next thing, which is the end of my references to the people that aided me, is technology, how technology helped me. You have in front of you, and I'm sorry, I don't have enough to distribute this. I will describe it. I just so happen to have two extra. I'll provide one to each side of the room, and hopefully the people will look at it, digest it, and pass it on. I'll explain first what it is, and I'll explain why it was important. Okay, this is from our GIS department. You know, we have drones, and we have the ability to interpolate documents and put images on documents, and on just amazing capability. What you're looking at is a photo image taken by a drone in late November of last year. And this is the property directly across the street from Mr. Searles and Ms. Vogel's house. And you will see that there are red posts, okay, and you will see the purple lines. And that is we had surveys done. We hired a surveyor who went out and, you know, plotted all this technical data. You all know what surveys look like. They're very involved. So this matches they take the data, they take the surveyor's electronic data, feed it into their data, and of course you're looking at this in perspective. You know, you're not looking at this directly overhead, so they have to figure out through whatever their systems are, well, how's it going to look at this angle? So this is like gold when you want to explain to someone what the situation is. So what are you looking at? You're looking at the property that he owns, and it shows that he's actually below the dune. Do you see that? I don't know if you get that sense, but can you see that everything on the right side is up on a mound? You can see that, right? That is the DOT right-of-way. The dune is 100% contained within the DOT right-of-way. And you can see the perpendicular purple line that is right next to that dune. That is where his property begins. And as you can see, it's on the downslope. You can tell that, right? It's on the downslope from the dune crest. And as you can see, it continues to go down, and then you see the hatched lines that go into the water, right? Well, that is not the end of his property line. That his property runs about anywhere, I don't remember it exactly, but up to 130 feet away from that first line you're looking at. So most of his property is underwater. And you can tell, if you've been here a long time beach-wise, that there has been a lot of erosion on this property. Now, I was able to demonstrate to him that from where he sat on his second floor of his house to enjoy his view, he was very concerned about his view, that he couldn't even see his property. This is the value of technology. You cannot even see your property. And we're going to repair it and fix it, and you'll have the same view that you had before. So I want to give credit to the people. We had them come out there. They were more than willing to do this. They took a lot of drone footage. Some of you might, well, you probably saw us out there on the street. There was a whole crew of us, and we had to bring the surveyors out, and the surveyors had to stake the survey lines. That's what those were the flags. I mean, those aren't actually the flags. If you look real carefully, you can see the shadow. If you look really, really carefully, you can see the shadow of the original stakes in the picture. So those are just put there to mark exactly where those stakes were, and that's as far as the surveyors could go, because the rest of it was underwater. So this is part of the education process. I'm not presenting this as solely an education of the situation with Mr. Searles and Ms. Vogel, but this is going to be true along the entire coastline that we're hoping to repair. So it's a good, I hope, object lesson. It'll arm you in terms of your knowledge and communication with the public. Now, we don't do this for every property. You know, it's very expensive, right? You all know, to hire a surveyor. It's not just a survey to buy a piece of property. You've got to show the elevations all the way through, and then you have to plot the erosion control line and the mean high water line. If you were to look at the survey, finally, I didn't think to bring one. It is a very complex looking document with a lot of lines that you got to follow, because it is a coastal survey. It shows you, which by the way I sent to him, and because he is an experienced businessman and buys property, he knows and understands a survey, although he had never ever seen a survey like this. And I was able to show him through the survey, which you don't have, the elevation lines to show how quickly his property descended onto the flat beach. Most of his property is on the flat beach or in the water. There's very little that's sloped there. You can tell that slope kind of ends where you see the end of the vegetation. So I hope that was informative to you, and I hope informative to your public. Now, where do we go from here? All of you know that I made a submittal to the Army Corps of Engineers. I assume you all have seen it, or all have it. Of course, we have one person that has not executed, and we're going to do everything we can to bring that property, or actually that individual owns 2 remnants, and to bring that property forward. I do want to emphasize that we respect the views that these owners had that's made them reluctant, that we are very open to discussing whatever those issues are, and we'll literally go to the ends of the earth to get those concerns addressed. And Mr. Searles was very tough, so we were able to satisfactorily address all of his concerns. It's important for people to recognize that there is the individual right to insist that these things go to court if they want. Hopefully they'll realize that the better good the better good for the community is to allow this project to get underway. So it's very important for people to keep that in mind and keep that in perspective, and not punish someone because they may have concerns about the beach. Hopefully they'll reach out and we'll be able to address all their concerns, and we can move forward without having to create any more history than we have to. I made this comment to somebody, it just reminded me. I made the comment, I guess I'm going to be a part of history whether I want to be or not. I'm either going to have the history of litigating the first eminent domain case for all of Flagler County, which would be a dubious distinction, although necessary. And the other historic moment is if we can get everyone to sign and we can have the entire project move voluntarily. So either way, I'm going to make history. And with that, I'll open it up to any questions you might have.
Commissioner Mealy.
Yeah, it's not a question, it's more of a comment. You said earlier that you felt there was a big trust between the Army Corps and your work and Flagler County's work. And I think there was a demonstration of that during that workshop where Olson and Associates presented, and then Jason Harra got up from the Army Corps, and something that was a surprise to me, that the Army Corps might participate in the Northern project as well. And I think if they didn't like working with you, with us, they wouldn't have offered that.
There are definite benefits to good intergovernmental cooperation.
Yes, I just thought I'd add that in. Yeah.
Excellent point. Thank you.
Mayor Johnson.
You know, they say it takes a village, and this little tiny village of Flagler Beach is thrilled to have Mr. Searles sign. And I know that Flagler Beach is thankful, and even myself personally, seeing this small beach town have a project come in front of it of this magnitude for the next 50 years. I'm personally very thankful, and hopefully that the last owner will have some more confidence in the Army Corps with having Mr. Searles on board. And if they have any questions, to reach out to any of us, and we are happy to help them any way possible. But a huge thank you to Mr. Searles.
Thank you.
Commissioner Bellimer.
Yeah, in reference to your letter that you sent to the Army Corps, have you gotten any response from them in reference to your projected timeline?
Yeah, they accepted it and modified the schedule.
Okay. So.
And otherwise, they were very pleased that we laid it out. And I got to tell you, they're very excited, as excited as I was when Mr. Searles signed.
Well, if we're really lucky, we might be starting this project this time next year, right?
Right.
Excellent.
Any other questions or comments for Al? Al, your tenacity on this project is amazing.
Mr. Chairman?
We're going to miss you when it's all done.
We'll stay in touch.
City Manager?
I have to echo everything. I mean, this guy is just a bulldog's bulldog, okay? And I'm just honored to be part of this team. This commission in this county is about to make history. The beach is our economy. It is our community. And we're going to rebuild it and restore it and keep it that way for 50 years. And that's quite an accomplishment, and I tip my hat to you, sir, and your team.
May I have another comment? Mr. Chair?
Yes, sir.
You know, William, you reminded me of another very important central piece of this. I know that all of you are aware that he was very concerned about preservation of his view. That's why he bought it. And, you know, he was born in Putnam County and knew the rural beaches, moved to South Florida, and all of those beaches were once rural but no longer. So this was this was restoring his connection to his roots, the way Florida beaches used to be. And Flagler Beach is the last of old Florida. He didn't exactly use those words, but he said the last place. And he was not going to sign that easement because the view would be taken away, and then that would, the Florida would no longer have any place where you could see the beach the way you can see it in Flagler Beach. And I told him, I can assure you, sir, that is the whole central function, purpose, lifeblood of this community, is to preserve those views and to preserve the beach. I was able to bring forward the way we have codified that in our comprehensive plans, the National Scenic Byway plans, the All-American Road. I told him if there was anyone that came that tried to suggest that the views would be blocked, I assure you, Mr. Searles, they will be run out of town on a rail. And I think that he said, you are not going to be able to maintain that view. I said, you do not understand the tenacity of this community and how invested we are and how we have codified it in every possible form, including in this easement. I don't know if I persuaded him, but my argument was, and I say this to all of those from whom we still need to get easements for future projects, the best guarantee that the beach view will be like it is today and always today is to do this project. This project guarantees that by repairing the beach and federalizing the beach and allow us to have it repaired every time we get a declared storm. This is the key to being able to, not just in words, but in deed, to preserve our views forever. Thank you for giving me that entree. And thank you for all of your cooperation and your very kind words. There are lots of people helping me in the background. I'm just a guy that's on the phone. Thank you.
Thank you, Al.
All right, we will move on to public comments. This is items that are not on the agenda. Citizens are encouraged to speak. However, comments should be limited to 3 minutes. And please address myself, the chair. And we ask that the audience have no reactions, positive or negative, so everybody can speak freely without any repercussions or encouragement or anything like that. So, anybody have public comment? Items not on the agenda. Again, please start with your name and address.
So, James Sherman, 1916 South Flagler Avenue. I just wanted to, I mentioned about, I guess last meeting we mentioned about resiliency. And something I was, doing a little bit of homework on about with, resiliency and, hazard mitigation. And something I was reading up on the FEMA website, it says here, in 2018, a report of the National Institute of Building Sciences found that $1 spent on hazard mitigation will save more than $6 of recovery on rebuilding costs. So something I, was looking at like grants and things like that, but then something else I stumbled across was that our great electric providers of FPL actually have a pilot program that was launched in 2018 called Storm Secure Underground Pilot Program. And one of the things that I think that we really need to look into is burying our power lines. And I believe that was even mentioned by Mr. Whitson when he applied for this job. And I think this might be something we want to look at. There's several municipalities similar to ours that have gotten this done. I think as close to us, I think there's some, FPL did this for Ormond Beach in some locations. And I believe as of January, they were starting some more projects around the state in some coastal areas throughout. And I think it would be something, maybe we want to try to get ourselves out there for that and try to get those, start getting our power lines buried around here. And if we can get FPL to do it, that's even better. So thank you.
Okay, thank you, James. James, if possible, can you leave the name of that program with Penny, if possible?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else for public comment? Items not on the agenda. Can you do anything? If you can just please state your name.
Good evening, Commissioners. Amy Lukasik, Flagler County Tourism Director. As you all are are aware, the Tourism Development Office is actively seeking a future location for a visitor experience center that is a result of our current strategic plan that was approved and adopted by the TDC and BOCC in 2019. Since that time, staff has dedicated a substantial amount of time towards this initiative. This includes industry research on what are the key ingredients that would make this type of facility successful, not just for us, but for local businesses and the community. The results from our research and the data that is available to us, we began outlining the framework and overall criteria of what the Flagler Visitor Experience Center would need to entail. And it was identified that the targeted location would be in Flagler Beach, ideally on the south side. It is critical that the facility is community-based and not off the highway. We have actual data and facts that support this, and I look forward to sharing that with you in the future. It's no secret that tourism is the main economy in Flagler Beach, and I think it's safe to say that a portion of local tourism businesses' success is a result of our office dedicating hundreds of thousands of dollars a year to marketing, promoting, and advertising individual businesses. In some cases, we are all they have to advertise. And even though the city of Flagler Beach's contribution to the annual bed tax is only around 9%, the local businesses and the overall health of the economy prosper because of our efforts. At the January TDC meeting, the board was presented with the annual update on the strategic plan, and a discussion ensued with regards to staff moving forward to conduct our due diligence on a specific location here in Flagler Beach. However, I can assure you that our office has been actively exploring all possibilities on multiple locations for about a year and a half now. There have been different levels of due diligence conducted on each location, which is driven by the framework and criteria that was created. This ranged from casual conversation with property owners to see if they had any interest in selling, to conducting inspections and appraisals. Truth be told, the City Hall location has always been in our sights, going back to pre-Hurricane Matthew, when conversations first began with the former city manager. With the recent activity of the future hotel, we felt it was time to revisit this possibility. So 3 members from county administration and our staff met with the city manager on June 1st, 2021 to see if we could formally begin those discussions with the commission, and we hope to continue to do so. We understand that there is a high level of interest with this type of project, which usually generates a knee-jerk reaction of opinions without having all the facts and overall scope of the project. Because of the process we must follow, go to the TDC, then the BOCC. Unfortunately, you may hear and read social media comments before I can get to you, which is why I'm here today. I gave a presentation to the BOCC this past Monday, and now I can proceed with providing you the same information. I've submitted my request to be on your agenda on March 10th, and I look forward to answering any questions or hearing any concerns at that time. In the meantime, I welcome any one-on-ones, whether it's yourself or any of your constituents. And also, I encourage you to watch the YouTube video, and I'll leave a copy of my presentation. Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Good timing.
That was quick. That was moving. All right, anyone else for public comment? Items not on the agenda. All right, seeing no one, we'll close public comment. We move on to consent agenda. On our consent agenda, item 6, we have regular meeting minutes of February 10th, 2022, and we have authorizing East Flagler Mosquito Control District to have low-level flights for spraying of mosquitoes. Any call-outs on consent agenda, questions? Is this to be passed out?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'll make a motion that we approve this consent agenda.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any members of the public wish to speak on consent agenda? Seeing no one, will close public comment. I did want to mention that under item 7, just as a comment, I talked with the city manager about having a meeting with Flagler Mosquito Control about possibly updating their service to the new way of doing it, which is not chemical spraying everywhere. For instance, St. Johns County has a way of doing it without chemical spraying as far as blanket spraying goes. The technology that Flagler's using is a little bit old. It's been publicized. There's been numerous articles on it, but just about trying to get to a more environmental approach versus just blanket chemicals everywhere. But that was it, and that's long down the lines. But I just wanted to let you know that I talked with the city manager about that, seeing if it even was a possibility. All right, we had a motion and a second. Public comments closed. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, motion passes unanimous. All right, next general business. Penny, Planning and Architecture Review Board.
Yes, sir. So you have 3 seats that have met their terms. One of those former seat holders has chosen not to apply to serve again. That's Don Deal. He served, I believe it was over 23 years, maybe longer. Big loss for us there. And so you have applicants, sorry. You have 6 applicants to fill 3 seats. I did email all the applicants to let them know they needed to appear to explain to the commission why they feel they'd be best suited to be on this board and to explain any conflicts they may have. And that's it. So I see all of them here. There's a name I don't know, so may or may not be here, but.
All right. Thank you, Penny. And what we'll do is we will just go through the applicants in alphabetical order. And the first person on the list here is Michelle Beat. Is Michelle here?
Actually, Michelle called me, I think it was yesterday, and indicated that she was going to be on travel. She actually lives down the street from me. Okay. And I just happened to see her walking last week, and she had called me this afternoon, or yesterday afternoon. She said she would not be able to make it because she was on travel and was not aware that it was going to occur tonight. But anyway.
Okay, and we do have resumes and paperwork on all the applicants too. All right, we will move next to Scott Chamberlain. Scott Chamberlain. All right, if you can, Scott, if you can please introduce yourself, tell us a little bit about yourself and why you are interested in Planning and Architecture Review Board.
Sure. Scott Chamberlain, lived down at 2530 Lakeshore. My wife and I moved there 5 months ago, so brand new to the area. Worked 33 years in Allstate Insurance in their operations department. Had stints in a lot of different departments, corporate and whatnot, and claims. But I also was 20 years a licensed North Carolina general contractor. And my wife and I, when we decided to retire, we looked everywhere from the Outer Banks of North Carolina all the way down and around the Gulf Coast, Florida. And we really loved Flagler Beach. We love the small beach town vibe we've already been talking about. And I guess now as a permanent resident, I have a vested interest in going with things and volunteering and putting some time in, paying back, and doing things that interest me, which is, architectural, with my builder's contractor's license. And so I would really appreciate your support of my candidacy.
All right. Questions? Commissioners and Mayor, any questions or comments for the applicant? All right, thank you, Scott. Sure. The next person on the list is Scott Chapis. Scott, if you can, please introduce yourself. Tell us a little bit about yourself and why you're interested in Planning and Architecture Review Board.
My name is Scott Chapis. I live at 343 North 11th Street here in Flagler Beach. I've been a resident for 9 years. I've been employed and working in Flagler County, Flagler Beach for 36 years. Retired state certified appraiser, residential appraiser, and I part-time work in real estate at this point. I've been on the architectural board for a year and a half. I filled a seat, so I know it's coming up for renewal, and that's it. So familiar with the process, familiar with a lot of the things that are going on at this point. Stay in touch with things. If I'm not here at meetings, I'm usually watching them on the computer at home. So do my best to keep up with things, and appreciate your support. I'd like to volunteer and serve again. So thank you.
All right. Commissioners or Mayor, any questions? Okay. Next person, Bruno O'Connor. Or I should say Bruno O'Connor. If you can.
2740 South Ocean. Just to let you know, my whole life has been in construction, from high school to college to the corporate. I was involved in one of the largest subcontractors in New York City, from anywhere from hotels, airports, stadiums. We did it. It's in my blood. When I retired about 4 years ago, I built my beautiful house, as Pierre would say, the mansion on South Ocean, and I'm surrounded by great neighbors. A pun, but But it's in my blood. I just can't give up construction. I can't get up getting involved. I was a city commissioner in Beverly Beach before I moved here, and it's something I'm looking forward to. So my resume really doesn't say a lot, but construction has been my life. And I know a lot about materials and building and different types and architectural values and aesthetics, which I think this town needs, aesthetics. You know, we're going to have a boom in commercial. We know that. And we need to keep it the small town look. And that's what I'm going for. Thank you.
All right. Commissioners and Mayor, any questions? All right. Next up is Scott Spradley.
Good evening, Commission. 3 of the 4 of us named Scott so far. That's kind of yeah, the first time ever. My name is Scott W. Spradley. I have lived in Flagler Beach for 15 years, and my law practice is 2 blocks from here, and so I've been here for that long. I want to tell you just a little bit about my personal, civic, and professional background. On the personal level, well, this is my 50th year of living in Florida. I'm a North Carolinian, but 50 years in Florida, so it doesn't leave much room for North Carolina. I have enjoyed living here. My vision is one of retaining the quaintness of this town that I've come to know, but yet doing so in a business-friendly environment that does not disturb the quaintness of the town. So that's how I feel on a personal level and on a professional level. From the civic side, I have worked, volunteered fairly extensively for the city over the years I've been here. I've either chaired or vice chaired 3 different committees: the paid parking versus free parking committee, the charter review committee, and then most recently the 4th of July celebration committee. So I know what it's like to be here, be a part of the city, to work with others, to listen to the residents, and come up with solutions. And third, on the professional level, I've been practicing law for 33 years, and if I do nothing else, I am a good listener. Day after day after day, I have a parade of people who come to me with their problems, their issues, and then what they want to accomplish. I take what they say, I apply it to the law, whether it be federal law, state law, ordinances, or whatever it may be. And what I see is that background would be consistent with what I think would be happening if I were to be appointed to be on this board. I want to be on the board. I want to continue to serve Flagler Beach, and I think that it's an important board, and I would like to be a part of it. And if so, I will work hard to do a good job.
All right. Questions or anything for Scott?
He's a good photographer, too.
Yeah,
Thank you very much. All right. Thank you.
and has great dogs.
That's true. All right. Next up is Brenda Witherspoon. Come on up, Brenda. And again, tell us a little bit about yourself and why you're interested in Par Board.
I have something, and I will not talk that quick. What a talent. Whew. Anyway, I have had the honor of serving on the Planning and Architectural Review Board for the past 7 months and have enjoyed the experience. I was prepared for and attended every Par Board meeting, and the knowledge gained by participating in every Land Development Code Review workshop will prove invaluable moving forward as a Par Board member. To recap my professional experience, I spent 24 years with Minto Communities, serving as Vice President of the Multifamily and Commercial Divisions. Even more valuable than being on the architectural design teams was the responsibility of managing 8 rental communities and 3 commercial plazas. Working in property management, one sees both the best and worst of human nature and develops an instinct for how a building lives, where the security compromises are, and both the intentional and unintentional negative impacts residents and guests create within a community. As far as my commitment to Flagler Beach, I've served as the Director of Events for the Rotary Club of Flagler Beach for 3 years and was instrumental in bringing back Rotary's commitment to the city's Christmas parade. As Chairman of the Race of the Runways, Rotary's largest fundraiser of the year, I'd like to invite everyone to either join us or participate this Saturday, February 26th, at the Flagler Executive Airport. I'm proud of my work with the Flagler Beach Rotary and the support we lend to the Flagler Beach Lifeguard Program, as you learned last commission meeting, the Flagler Beach Police Department, the Flagler County Sheriff's Office, our community and beyond. Additionally, I am a member of Flagler Beach Creates and routinely volunteer at Veterans Park and Stefflick Park and clean my stretch of the beach on a weekly basis. My reason for wanting to continue as a member of the PAR board comes from a sincere desire to serve our city, and I think my experience will be most beneficial as we move forward in the development of the hotel property, as well as the commercial and residential properties along John Anderson and Roberts Roads. We have one opportunity to get the hotel right, and as demonstrated during the PAR board review of the latest plans, I am committed to fighting for the best, most livable and community-friendly building. During the presentation of the new hotel plans to the PAR board, I was prepared with 9 questions, 3 typewritten pages. That came from experience. It wasn't, oh, I don't like blue, or we don't do this or that. It's from experience that I sat down and reviewed those plans. As a consultant and go-between owners, architects, and hotel chain brands like Hilton, I know this drill. The owner presents an opportunity, the architect creates their vision, and then in comes the brand with their list of demands that drives the owner crazy and keeps the architect scrambling. But the most important experience I can offer the city where the upcoming development is concerned is 24 years of maintaining rental apartments, condos, clubhouses, and commercial areas. Experience leads me to understand how a building or business will age, its impact on the community and the neighbors. There are certain things we should demand that one would not know if they don't live it for years and years and years. I know I look 29, but I'm not. I'm an old girl. In closing, I think it's extremely important that we have equal representation from all areas of the city on the PAR board. A vote for me would secure a member living south of State Road 100 and Beachside. There is no way to understand the intimate relationship of living in a residential zone abutting and or in close proximity to commercial zoning unless you reside there. I'm grateful for the opportunity to come before you and hope you make a decision to reappoint me to the PAR board. My professional qualifications are perfectly matched to the task. I have proven to be exceedingly prepared for every meeting, and my dedication to Flagler Beach is without question. And I thank you, commissioners.
Right.
Any questions?
Any questions, Mayor, commissioners? All right, thank you, Brenda. And just as a reminder, the scoring is 1 through 6, 1 being the highest score. All right, we will move on while everybody's getting that done. And we have a request for a pier rental for a 4-hour period on April 17, 2022 for a sunrise Easter service. And Penny, is that you?
Salty Church, since some of the COVID restrictions have slacked off, they are requesting to rent the pier again for a sunrise service, which they've done. I think this will be their 3rd time. It's a 3-hour rental. They're very nice guests. They leave the property as they find it. They pay the fee, and we don't have any complaints. The reason this is coming before you is because in your current code, it states that the pier cannot be rented out more than 6 times per year and no more than once per month. But I'm asking for a waiver from you to allow that to happen twice in 1 month due to the fact that Cheer at the Pier will also be going on in April.
All right, and is the applicant here? All right, absolutely, come on up. And if you can, please state your name and your affiliation, and if you have anything concerning the application, please share.
Yeah, sure. My name is Jacob Netherton, campus pastor at Salty Flagler. And so what we're looking to do is just the same thing that we did pre-COVID. So is have a sunrise service. It's a simple 45-minute service. We are going to use the pier for 4 hours because we need to do setup and tear down. You know, I think the main thing about Salty is that we're for the community. We're for the city. We always have been and always will be. And so through like our community relief of Laundry Love and beach cleanup, partnership with Flagler Strong, and just being really what we say salt and light in the community, we think that this is a great way to bring the community together for an Easter sunrise service. So with that, I'll hand it over
Questions
to you.
or comments for the applicant or Penny?
Yeah, I just want to back up something that Penny said about leaving things the way you find it. I'm the treasurer of the Flagler Women's Club, so I'm the one that deposits your checks. And I know that after every meeting, the club is just the way you found it.
And please call me if it doesn't, okay? I'll track those people down. And thank you, Penny, for advocating for us. I really appreciate that.
Any other questions or comments for Penny, the applicant, city manager? City manager?
Yeah, can I say they have great hot chocolate during the January thing? Now, there was cold, so.
And we will be running the Pinewood Derby next first Friday.
Oh, great.
Yeah. So things are kind of getting back to normal. So with the almost post-COVID, we would like to get back to some normalcy too. And community-wise, as far as Bunnell and Palm Coast, people are even asking about it. So it's an attraction to the city of Flagler Beach for Flagler County.
Thank you for all you do for us.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, it's our pleasure.
All right, any other questions or comments for applicant?
No.
All right, if you can have a seat. I'll open this up to public comment. Any members of the public wish to speak on this agenda item? All right, seeing none, we will close public comment. I'll look for a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve a request for pier rental for a 4-hour period on April 17th, 2022 for a sunrise Easter service for Salty Church.
Second.
All right, we have a motion, a second. Penny, you don't need a roll call this, do you? No. All right, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes unanimous. You have your service. Appreciate you, sir.
Does the waiver need to be included in that motion? Waiver?
That was the motion. That was your agenda item.
Yeah.
That's why you were approving it, was for the waiver.
The only reason they come to you is for alcohol or more than
Okay.
a month or more than 6
All right.
a year.
Gotcha.
All right, and just a little bit of housekeeping. Applicants for par board, just please hang in there. Penny's going to be tallying that up, and we'll cover that as soon as she's done. All right, we will move on to item 10, resolution 2022-02. Drew?
Resolution 2022-02, a resolution by the City Commission of the City of Flagler Beach, Florida, adopting a governmental money purchase plan and trust adoption, providing for planned administration through Mission Square Retirement Corporation, repealing all resolutions in conflict herewith, providing for severability and an effective date.
All right, thank you, Drew. And City Manager, did you want to take us through this one?
Yes, sir. It's pretty straightforward. There's been a name change to the Retirement Corporation that needs to be formally recognized. And then there's the resolution that needs to be put in place to line everything up with the latest regulations. And Liz is here to answer any questions on the details if you have that. It's pretty straightforward.
Okay, Commissioners or Mayor, any questions or comments on this?
Liz answered my questions yesterday.
Yeah, I got all my questions answered from the city manager.
It's defined benefit plan, so, or defined contribution plan.
All right, any other questions or comments? All right, I'll open this up to the public. Any members of the public wish to speak on resolution 2022-02? All right, seeing none, we'll close public comment. Look for motion.
Motion to approve resolution 2022-02.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Penny, if you could roll call.
Commissioner Bryan?
Yes.
Commissioner Bellhumeur?
Yes.
Commissioner Mealy?
Yes.
Commissioner Phillips?
Yes.
Chair Cooley?
Yes, the motion. Motion passes unanimous. All right, we'll move on to item 11. And we have application to establish a tattoo studio in the general commercial district. And Larry, come on up if you could, please. Good to see you again. This is a regular thing.
Yes, it is. Becoming regular. That's a good thing. I don't see the applicant.
Yeah, she's in the back.
There she is. Okay. Yes, this is a request to establish a permanent cosmetic features salon in an existing eyebrow, eyelash, and waxing salon in the Golden Hour, which is in the, call it the Pink Building, Palmadesso Building. This type of application, micropigmentation, is under the umbrella of tattoo salons at the state level. Tattoo parlors, tattoo salons in the city of Flagler Beach now are permitted in the general commercial district as a special exception. This application went before the planning board at the February 1st meeting. The recommendation was unanimous to approve the use with one stipulation that the tattooing, if you will, would be restricted to facial cosmetics only and no other parts of the anatomy. The applicant, Ms. Pontorno, is here to answer any questions.
All right.
Or I have
a question.
Welcome to ask me any questions.
I don't have tattoos. I have an earring, that's it. But why was the concern about, not that I want all parts of the body, but I just wondering why was it restricted to just the facial and not necessarily the arms or hands?
I can't answer that. It was something that was promulgated by the planning board members as a condition, if you will. I think the applicant can speak more to that, I think it was stated at that meeting that she had no interest in that in her business. But that is not something that was in the staff report. It's just something that evolved through the conversation.
And I think that last part that was my read of the planning boards, is that's because that's what's being applied for. So they were looking at it as that. And again, I do have tattoos, so not speaking ill of tattoos, but the clientele is differently for those coming in to get cosmetics versus those coming in to get tattoos. And so I think that might have been why PAR board was we're looking at this as cosmetics, so we're considering the impacts on surrounding based on cosmetics. So I think that's why that condition was imposed. And it wasn't a concern over, well, if you're doing this, we would say no. It was more, if you're going to do that, if you're going to expand this other area, we would want you to come back in so we could analyze it from that perspective.
Okay, that's what I was asking there. I mean, I think the scope of it is fine. I was just wondering why there were restrictions to just the facial area itself. Right. That's the only question I have.
Okay, any other, Commissioner Phillips?
Aaron and I have had the pleasure of meeting, and I want to welcome you from the commission to Flagler Beach.
Thank you.
I just want to confirm, though, that you do not have any intent, at least in the near future, to go below the face, if you will, just to do permanent makeup and scar coverings, that type of work.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
Says she with the decorated arms.
You won't like slipping.
Good.
I don't like
Commissioner Belhumeur?
Just a quick question. Does this special exception stay with the property?
Special exception runs with the land, correct.
Okay. And it will always have that condition?
Unless somebody comes in to amend the special exception, correct.
Gotcha. Okay. And you're okay with that?
That's fine with me.
The only question I had.
Any other questions or comments? The only comment that I have is I personally would actually like to see it approved without that condition. I understand the business owner is okay with doing that. However, the business use and the business location, everything it can be used for tattoos. There are a lot of very good reasons to do tattoos outside of the restriction that is being placed on the business owner. You can get into a lot of really good reasons. You can get in burn victims, scar treatments, and they are not a lot of your standard tattoos. They're using flesh tones, and these are, and that's all things that this business owner might face in the future. To have to go through the process to get approved for something that they, by all intents and purposes, should be approved for anyways, to me seems silly. I think the restriction is, in my opinion, just overbearing and short-sighted. I would think it should get approved without it. That's just my 2 cents. Commissioner Brown.
So I've assumed that since she can come back for an amendment or modification to that particular provision, it wouldn't be that difficult. I guess, in other words, 6 months from now, if she just, runs into this particular scenario here, what type of a process would she have to go through in order to be able to increase the...
Same process she is in now. It would be exactly this process. So you're looking at probably, 3 months probably from application to final decision. Larry, is that for a special exception about the average length of time, I'm guessing?
Correct, and I understand.
And the application expense, you'd also have to pay an application fee again. So there's a little bit of expense added to that also.
Correct.
Question?
Mayor.
If the applicant came back to revise to go to lower extremities, could the original application be revoked? And if it was a new commission, let's say 3 years down the road or something of that sort?
No, it would not be revoked.
Okay.
There's not jeopardy of that. No,
Okay.
You can't, because she asks to do more, you can't take away what's already been given.
Okay.
As I've expressed in previous meetings about special exceptions, the effect of approving a special exception is as to that property, and it kind of goes to Commissioner Bellhumer's point too, as to that property, this is now treated as a permitted use, whatever you approve in the special exception.
May I ask a question? Referring to Mr. Cooley's question, if in the event that it was to be going below the body and I wasn't supposed to be doing, let's say like art tattooing, and I decided down the line I want to do, I don't know, like you said, a burn victim or maybe even a cancer patient who maybe had to get their breast removed, areola, stuff like that, would that be under a different scope because that would still be cosmetic permanent makeup and not like the...
True.
You know what I mean? I don't know how to explain that, but
You may be, if that's kind of the modification to the recommendation, I think you can maybe tweak PAR Board's recommendation a little bit, and instead of saying the extent of service is limited to the application of permanent facial cosmetic makeup, say the extent of service is limited to the application of cosmetic makeup and not artistic tattoos.
Okay.
Does that make sense in your terminology?
Yes.
I think that accomplishes what both the chair and the applicant are talking about.
And that's clean legally? That's works for you?
I don't have a legal issue with it as long as everybody is clear what it means.
City Manager, did you have something?
Yeah, I think you all have that authority to tweak that recommendation. It's a recommendation, so you can just make sure the wording is correct, and Drew might want to repeat it for the official motion. So.
Okay, so I'm sorry, just for clarification, if Drew or Debbie or you wanted to add to your declarations for no health reason, that would not be allowed. Correct. Under this.
Correct. Under what they're
But
saying.
if a woman had breast cancer and needed some restorative work done, then that would be all right.
Yes.
Okay.
Or did you have some clarification?
Okay, that just
Brian.
No, I mean, that's why I initially brought it up, because I want to make sure she's successful with what she's doing. She doesn't have to go through it's a very long process. Again, if she has a customer or client that comes to her and they say, well, I'm sorry, I'm going to have to wait 3 to 4 months before I can address this. So I think, we're trying to make sure that we are inclusive as we can in order to allow for those kinds of conditions that the chairman talked about.
Yeah, it's very common, folks that lose tips of their fingers, they'll have a fingernail tattooed on.
Funny you should bring that up.
I didn't lose the tip. I came close, but I didn't lose the tips.
They have a bad experience with some sharp knives. You need that fingernail back.
maybe we can work something out.
I don't want to see knives, needles, or anything anymore.
But if at some point she wanted to do decorative, I don't know if that's the right word, decorative.
The word that I used in the condition that will read again later is artistic tattoos.
Okay. So if a year from now you decide that's what you want, then we go through this process all over. Okay.
Yeah, and at that point, you're kind of redefining the business too.
Okay.
Penny, you got that language?
I'll read it again, but once you have the public period and you get closer to making a motion, I'll read that language again.
Applicant, how do you feel about that? Are you good with that? And
I'm good with that.
Any other feedback?
No.
Okay, questions or comments at all, or for the applicant? No. All right, you can have a seat. We'll open this up to public comment. Any members of the public wish to speak on this agenda item? All right, seeing none, we'll close public comment, look for motion.
And before you make the motion, I'll go ahead and read that language. That way you can just incorporate the condition if that's what you want to include in your motion. So how I modified that was to say the extent of service is limited to the application of permanent cosmetic makeup and shall not include artistic tattoos.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second it.
So that was so moved to approve the special exception with that condition.
Special exception 22-02-01 with the conditions.
I'll second that.
All right, any other discussion on that? All right, Penny, if you could roll call.
Commissioner Valhumro?
Yes.
Commissioner Mealy?
Yes.
Commissioner Phillips?
Yes.
Commissioner Bryan?
Yes.
Chair Cooley?
Yes, the motion passes unanimous.
Congratulations.
So congratulations.
Yeah. Good luck to you.
Okay, we have the vote tally for PAR board. I got from Penny, and Penny, that's everybody that's starred, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And I just want to remind everybody, if for some reason we have 3 seats, no, we have 6 seats. I can't even say this right. We have 3 seats, we had 6 people.
Yes.
Jeez, I'll get that out sooner or later. And so that means 3 folks are not getting it. However, that does not mean that the city does not want you to have a seat. That's just the way the votes fell. And I would encourage everybody to stay engaged because these seats come open on a frequent to regular basis. And okay, so we have Scott Chapis, Scott Spradley, and Brenda Witherspoon as the PAR board members. So congratulations to you folks. And for the others, I would encourage you to, by all means, stay engaged and keep applying for the seats because we do need the help. And there are some seats that come up that nobody applies to that we could definitely use your help. All right. We move on to staff reports. Drew.
A couple of things. First one you have in front of you, or I think you have in front of you, the working title commitment. You'll see at number 9, there's still work they're working on the trust documentation. But we are very close to having the title insurance commitment finalized and ready to go. Next up would be to go to closing. And is there any opposition or any discussion that needs to happen before the city manager is authorized for that? Because we are prepared from our perspective, as long as we have good title insurance, then we are ready to go towards closing from, at least on the legal end. Is there any other holdups or discussion that needs to occur?
Discussion or comments on this property?
Go do it.
You have a consensus, sir?
Okay. And that would, of course, be, again, based on there being the title insurance issues being resolved and a good title insurance policy being available to the city. The other one, I've noticed my last couple of trips in, I have also noticed the tent sale. I talked to Mr. Torino earlier, right before the meeting, and he's going to get with code enforcement tomorrow because we both agree that they're taking up required parking spaces the way that they're doing that. And if you are required to have 5 parking spaces and you have 5 and you put a tent in one of them, you are now violating the code because you are not providing the parking spaces required to provide. So that has been conveyed to code enforcement. So we will hopefully be moving forward on that angle over there.
Okay. Commissioner Phillips?
Drew, are they in violation of the signage on their windows as well?
I did not notice the window signage, so I can't answer it.
Okay, because it covers more than 50% of, there are some windows that don't have anything.
If it does, then yes, probably. I'll give a call to Rick in the morning too and go over it with them and let them know to check that window signage also.
That's been like that for over 6 months.
Right.
We wrote them up before, and I don't know where that actually ended
It hasn't come to a code enforcement case, so I don't know. Okay. I'll ask Rick.
They resized them at one point, but I don't know whether the coverage is for the entire building or per window.
Per window.
Per window.
Well, and here's the thing, this got brought up before. When there was a complexity to these graphics, you can only count the graphic itself. So, for instance, if it's a letter A, the center part was not being calculated in the window. It was a complex issue because this was tabled before. But just some background for everybody on that.
I'll work with code enforcement department on it.
Okay, and I know that it would be a separate case, but the T-shirt shop on A1A, it grows exponentially. It is now down past going south, covering part of the fence by the parking lot.
Around the corner.
And then it comes up to Route 100, and now it's covering most of Tavalachi.
Yeah.
All that stuff that they put outside.
Are they using parking spaces for it, or is it?
No, it's a
on the
different
sidewalk?
thing, but previously there was a lady with a kite shop in there, and she put flower pots out, and we made her take them down.
And your code already addresses some of that, so I'll check the code and I'll get with code enforcement on that too, because when I was looking at the outdoor sales, if we needed to do anything with ordinances, I did find some existing that I think you can use to control some of that.
Okay.
Because they own one business.
Yeah.
And as Commissioner Mealy just mentioned, they're growing. Down the street.
Well,
Encroaching on other businesses.
And they do take up on weekends parking spot in Tavalachi's lot. So it gets really,
Oh, I haven't seen that.
it gets
but
really
okay.
weird.
Is it a multi-tenant building, or are they separate properties? Are there
No,
property
it's-
lines in between
It's a
them?
multi-building.
building.
Multi-property.
Commissioner Belham, you had something?
Just on the subject of consistency, there's other places that are doing the same thing with using up parking spaces for events on weekends and whenever they want to. And I just hope that if we go after one person, we stay consistent. And
Absolutely, that would be my expectation. That's always my advice. One distinction that I will give you when it comes to parking spaces, we do distinguish in code enforcement required parking spaces versus a surplus parking space. So if I'm required to have 5, but I have 20, and I use 10 for a special event or for a concert or for something other than parking, I'm not violating code because I still have my 5. So factually, there can be distinctions between cases. But yeah, if we're going to go after one property owner for a code violation and there's other property owners with the same code violation, my expectation is always that we will phase those. We may take the highest priorities first, but if we do not selectively enforce, we cannot selectively enforce.
Well, and I'll just bring some clarity to that. I believe you're referring to Coquina with their art show. Okay, so I don't even know if it's a permitted.
Yeah, they get.
And that permit lets them do the entire lot? Okay, is that how it works?
I haven't seen the latest art, that doesn't mean Janelle hasn't processed them, because I trust her with that process.
I've seen them.
Okay, I just want to make sure we're talking about the same thing.
Provide a letter or email from the property owner, their landlord, that they're allowing them to take those parking spaces, because it could be to the architect shop or the nail place or even Dollar General that they're taking away from. So they get permission from the property owner, they go through the process.
Okay, so that brings clarity to that one.
Yeah, but I know there were years ago, can't remember the couple's name now, but they opened a shop on the north side, might be where Tavalachi is in the north side shop now. But they had like 4 different businesses going in this little area and 2 parking spaces. So then things started going outside and there were no parking spaces. And so we made them not do that.
Well, and why when the subject of outdoor sales came up, my suggestion was it ought to be in the land development code and ought to be part of our process, because exactly that, even if you're not taking up required parking spaces, we're reviewing properties for how much parking do you need based on square footage. And if you're adding outdoor square footage, you're bringing more, at least potentially, and the reason why you're doing it is to bring more people to the business. And so we have not accounted for that in our parking requirements. And when you are already under parked, that can become very problematic very quickly.
And when I answered your question about the land development code, I didn't mean that it should not end up there.
Just not to wait.
Not to wait till
Yes,
we
ma'am.
finish the rest.
Understood.
I believe that they did ask permission, because Bonnie had contacted me and asked me, and I told her, because she didn't say where they were putting a tent, she just said small tent, and I said if it's over 200 square feet, that would trigger a permit and an inspection. She said no, she didn't think it was, and I know that that's its own, sole supporting parking standing building. It's not a complex of other businesses. And I I didn't feel that it triggered the special event process, since it was on their own property. No city services would be required to support it. So I told her it would be, that's a building department review, so I don't know where it went from.
All right, any other comments on that?
And just one more, I'll be brief. Jane, I don't know if you're going to speak in more detail, but just to let you know, and you've probably already seen either from Mr. Whitson or the league, that there have been some positive movements on some of the bills that are moving through both sovereign immunity and the business damages have gotten better. I mean, it's, yeah, right. And they won't be, but if they pass, they at least will pass in a better form, particularly for smaller jurisdictions like us.
All right, thank you, Drew. City Manager.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We've had a situation come up where we were bidding the job to repair the dumpster at the Funky Pelican and also do an ad alternate for the kitchen. We received 0 bids for that. That was open yesterday, Penny?
Yes.
Yeah. So we're doing a little homework as to others that might be interested that apparently just missed the opportunity, didn't bid. And I've talked to the city attorney, and he advises that perhaps we put the bid back out for a limited time, maybe contact some people we're aware of. I've already received a phone call from a contractor today who was interested, who missed it. And Penny may be aware of a couple of others. And I was just wondering if it's okay with the board to put that back out again and try one more time.
Yeah, we got to get it done.
Yeah.
So I guess.
Go out and beg. Stand on the corner and beg.
Yes.
How far is the area in which we're advertising? Is it just within Flagler County or where?
Well, our code requires that I place an ad in a local newspaper of general circulation, which is that, but I also advertise on Demand Star, which is national, and okay. I pull from what group, because initially I saw there was only 2 or 3 people who had downloaded the plans, and those were mostly bid warehouses who just report out that bids are available. So I went in and expanded the type of service, hopefully to get some more, and it drew a few more, and I thought there was one on there at least that was going to submit a bid, but they didn't, and I was somewhat familiar. I had seen them bid on other things for the city. I was a little disappointed. But.
Well, I mean, most of those businesses in that industry are very busy right now.
Yes,
exactly. We're in competition with a lot of situations out there.
They're really slammed. I mean, most of the people I know, they're trying to get piers or bulkheads are a year out.
Right. So with your permission, I'm assuming to have consensus to proceed.
No, we got consensus, right?
Yes. Yeah, and I know it's unusual, but these are unusual times. I mean, we usually do not contact bidders, but in this case, I think it would be wisdom to do that. All right. Another item just quickly is it was Two Wheel Tuesday, 2222, and Matt and I went out on our bicycles talking to people, and Channel 35 Fox Orlando thought that was a really cool idea, and they said, well, can we ride with you? And it was like, yeah, you can do that. So they got some footage, and Mayor was interviewed about the new hotel, and they will be here Friday afternoon live from the A-Frame for a live broadcast with John Brown from downtown. And we're gonna have a good time Friday afternoon. So I invite you all to come out and check it out.
Can you narrow that time down any?
5 to 7.
5 to 7.
Okay.
Yep.
And we'll have a table.
Yeah. So.
And if you happen to have that news clip, if you could send it out to us, that'd be good too.
Yes, we will try and obtain that. That will all be revealed during their broadcast. So they came in advance on Tuesday and got it in the can, as they say, and then they will reveal it on Friday afternoon. So. I had a couple of other items, but I dropped my card and I can't find it. So
we can come back to you.
I'll. I don't know where it is, but you know, if there's something really hot, I'll be in touch with you.
James, do you see it under?
You went that way. I couldn't see it anywhere.
Oh, it is. It's right.
Ah, there it is.
Now, I've heard reasons before. That was never one of them.
There we go. Thank you. Update quickly on the peer RFQ for the engineers. We received 6 proposals, and we are now in the evaluation process, and the committee is reviewing those proposals independently, blind review, and we'll get you the results when we're ready. But we're underway with the peer, and I had a conversation with the Department of Emergency Management today about that, followed up with some of our documents and checked to see how they like things, and so far so good. So they're even continuing to reach out to FEMA because I insist that FEMA say everything's okay. And I not only hear that from FEMA, but I see that in writing from FEMA. So we are continuing to follow up on that matter to make sure that we don't go through all of this effort and then them, kind of pull the plug at the last minute. So I'm continuing to pursue that. And of course, First Friday's coming up soon, and everything's going smooth with that. So that's my report.
All right. Any questions for city manager?
Question.
Commissioner Phillips.
How many bids did we receive for Pell Parker?
Oh, yes. Thank you. I appreciate the reminder. We received 3, and we got one that was low that was good. So we are vetting it now, and we will be back to you. Commissioner Bryan is out doing his commissioner thing.
Begging.
Well, I was going to try to be more colorful.
Hustling Home Depot.
Yeah. Thank you, Commissioner.
That's what Larry Newsom used to call himself, a professional beggar.
There you go. But we wrote, the way we wrote the bid is that if we were to secure free materials, okay, that they would be taken into account. So we've got everything set up and ready to go. It's just a matter of the elements coming together and making sure that our staff vets the bid to make sure that everything's there, and then we'll be bringing it back. So we're on our way, we hope.
All right, any other questions for city manager? All right, Penny.
I forgot I was next. Janelle and I went over for our first canvassing board for your municipal election today. We had our logic and accuracy testing. A little hiccup, but we got through it, and excited for the election. I'm going to try and get the banner up next week, and we're all ready.
Great.
That's it? Any questions for Penny? All right, Chief, anything for us? Nothing. All right. Is Larry Torino still here? Did he go? All right. All right, that takes care of comments. All right, commission comments. We will start with Mayor Johnston.
Well, we were going to start at this end.
Are we going to do that?
Didn't we say that by the time it gets to
me, I have nothing
We can
You
start
can
down
wait.
there. I am fine.
All right, Commissioner Phillips.
Oh, thank you.
Yep.
Just every once in a while, because by the time it gets to me, I got
Until
nothing
his
to say.
last meeting as chair to switch it
We
up.
could do that every other meeting.
I'm fine with that.
Just a couple of things. When is the sandwich board ordinance going to be on the agenda? To expand the area?
Let's shoot for the first meeting in April. Will that work?
Yeah.
That will also have to go to par board because
Yeah.
Okay, because I talked to Bob the
But that
other
would
day,
give
and he
us
told me
time.
Bob, and he was asking.
Well,
Okay.
is there any legal exceptions that can be made at all for that, or no?
Going to par board?
Well, no, I'm talking about for the business owner. He's just stuck until this thing goes through.
Okay.
And that won't be until at least minimum April par board agenda because the March is already done.
And that's fine,
We
as
can
long as
we
I.
can do what we've done on those, and we can bring it here first, and
Bring it
we
here
can bring it to both in April to move.
Okay. I will tell him that. He was thrilled. I spoke to Mr. Whitson about opening the bathrooms for First Friday. I had some
I've gotten
complaints.
requests for that.
He had some complaints, so we are going to open up the bathrooms. Everybody just needs to behave when they use those bathrooms.
Because if they mess them up really bad, we'll close them
Then
again.
we're going to close them again, so we don't want that.
Yeah, there was a reason for closing them.
I know. And then I'm going to be meeting with Karen, our CRA director, on Monday with my team of Wickline Park individuals, committee members. I'm going to be sharing with Karen everything we've done so far, and then she'll be applying for the FERDAP grant in October. She's already talked to FERDAP about it.
Great.
So I'll update you guys after that meeting on Monday, and I think that's all I had. Yep, that's all I had. Thank you.
All right, Commissioner Millie.
Okay.
That's a big page you got there.
And it's a little piece of paper. I really don't have that much. I went to the memorial service for Kim Shamp, the wife of a retired police sergeant, longtime employee of the city. Was out at Hawk Creek, and there were hundreds of people, and It was so heartwarming. I literally had to park a half mile down 304. If you've ever been to the Hawk Creek Community Center, I mean, that's a long, and it just was beautiful. And there were several people from the city. Of course, Chief was there, and a few other employees. So that was very nice. I listened in on the monthly webinar from the League of Cities on the final rule for ARPA distribution. Maybe it's the final. And it does open up a whole lot more kinds of things that our money can be spent on. That was interesting. Fire Pension Board meeting yesterday. The quarter ended before all the bad stuff happening to the stock market, but we are way ahead, and I think even if there's a 10% correction, which we always get warned about is going to happen, the pension's going to be fine. So that was good. And yesterday's meeting with the chamber, where all the city managers and county administrator told all the great stuff that's going on. The feeling of cooperation between everybody was just wonderful. Doesn't mean everybody's getting everything they want, but having gone through some really bad lack of cooperation, it sounded really good yesterday. So, and William did a great presentation. The only thing I want to say about the legislation is I'm still not happy. Yes, it's less horrible, but we still, if we hurt businesses, there's still ways they can sue us, and I'm not happy about that. What did Travis Hudson do good yesterday? I forgot. He did something good yesterday. The
sovereign immunity cap limit, he opted us out. We're under 50,000, so we don't even, that doesn't apply to us anymore, so that was a huge favor for us.
Okay, that was a good thing.
The sovereign immunity cap stays where it is currently for jurisdictions under 50,000.
Right, okay. Some of the bills have already made it to the governor, and we'll get a list of it all when it's over. And then I just want to share the beautiful thing that happened yesterday, that email I read to you. I got an email yesterday from a 7th grader. Name is Jude, so I don't know if it's a boy or a girl. But this 7th grader is fascinated by recycling and wrote, I think his or her mother wrote what it was, because it was too well written for a 7th grader. But how important recycling is, and he or she in civics class, which I thought they weren't teaching anymore, was glad to hear that they are, has to do a project and wanted to know what he or she could do for the city. And I'm like, wow, this is wonderful. So I talked to William about it yesterday, and I thought maybe I could get the kid, young man or girl, or whatever, he or she, in touch with Rob Smith. And William took it a step further and thought if the kid could spend the day with Rob Smith and learn about the glass machine that we get, glass crushing machine, And since we're going to have a big hoopla party when we finally get the glass crushing machine, that Jude could come and do some kind of presentation. So I was very excited about that. I responded to the email last night and have not gotten anything back yet. So, but it just was very heartwarming.
That's very heartwarming.
Especially for a retired teacher. It was good. And I'm done.
Okay, and just to piggyback off what you were saying, an unrelated topic, Mayor, something to consider putting on your radar is the kids' town hall now that COVID is starting to go away.
Been brought up.
Assuming 10 other variants don't show up. Then...
Good, I'm glad we're doing that again. That was...
All right, Commissioner
Those kids from Old Kings with they use words I had no idea what they were talking about.
Oh yeah, those presentations were impressive.
Little tiny science people.
Yeah. All right, Commissioner Bellinger.
Yeah, I don't know how many of you noticed on your way in, but the water fountain isn't covered with an unsightly trash bag anymore. So thank the city manager for doing that.
Progress.
Good news, bad news, good news. The monument is ordered for Veterans Park. The bad news, it's going to take 6 to 8 months to get it, so we're not going to make Memorial Day. And good news again is the $1,500 so savings from our first proposal. So I'm still going to push to try and find somebody that can polish up the old one as well, and maybe we can get that done before Memorial Day. So I'll follow up on that. Let's see, where am I here? Was rolling by where we keep all the beach equipment, the building down there on 6th Street. And there was a lot of activity there this past Saturday, and they were doing the maintenance on all the jet skis and four-wheelers and so forth. So that's all done. Got a good peek at the four-wheelers we got last year. According to Tom, they're holding up better than the ones we had prior. So may go towards...
I think they're leaving them out less than we used to. Being better about moving them to the building rather than leaving them out on the beach.
Well, they've been putting them in that building for several years now.
I think they were, but not religiously.
All right.
I think.
That scare
you? Well, anyway, the Suzukis are apparently holding up better than the ones they had prior. Also went to trustee, the police pension board meeting as a trustee. And the last report was before the crash that we're going through right now in the stock market. But there was a little bit, he did say that even still, with the market down close to 10%, we're only down around 2%. So, like you said, it's diverse enough that we'll be able to recover from that.
And he did, I think it was the same for the police. Of all the pension plans in the state, we rate the highest, 5.
6.
Fifth, for the fire, it was 5th.
Okay.
In the state, so.
So we're getting more bang for a buck than 95% of other pension plans. So that's incredible.
Yeah.
Yesterday was a busy day. Went to a TPO meeting down in Daytona as a board member. The executive director search is still going on, so they're trying to get somebody permanent in that seat.
That's Lois's seat?
Yeah, Lois's position. There's not a whole lot of news to share other than there's going to be some interchange improvements at 95 and LPGA and at Route 1. And it's been on their long-range plan. but they bumped it up by 5 years. So those interchanges will be addressed sooner as opposed to later. I know we live in Flagler, but I'm sure we've all been on those interchanges. Went to the Future Flagler Forum as well with all the city managers and just supporting the city managers and county administrator. Communication and mutual understanding's critical for our future. So it's nice to see that going on, and I hope it's first of many to continue. I know you guys talk as city managers all the time. I don't know how often Heidi gets involved with that, but no, she's okay. So it's not just city managers, it's administrators. Okay, and then I went to the Friends of A1A Scenic Historic Byway meeting, and they voted me in as vice president.
Ah, lucky you.
I wasn't expecting that, but I'll take it and do the best I can with it.
Was it stiff competition?
We got a, geez, I thought I brought the paper on that. Let me see here. There it is. They're sponsoring this annual meeting of the FDOT and State Highway Patrol, their annual meeting, and incorporating a Byway Leader Training Conference. So I guess I'll be having to go to the training courses there. But the big part of that deal for those 3 days, it's a Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. But on Tuesday at 6 p.m., they're going to officially cut the ribbon for their new designation as, the historic byway from the federal side. Paul Renner will be there and other dignitaries. So that's 6 o'clock at the Bridge of Lions in St. Augustine on Tuesday, March 29th. So this is coming Tuesday.
March 29th?
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, a month from this Tuesday.
It's a
yeah. It screws me up when February has 28 days and you have the exact same dates on the same day of the week.
I understand.
And I just let's try and get everybody we can on the bridge tomorrow to welcome Caleb home. Oh, is it?
His homecoming was on Facebook this afternoon.
Okay, so it's March 4th. Okay, so it's a week from.
That's a week from, yeah. There you go again. Now, Caleb's homecoming was on Facebook. I don't know if anybody else saw it. I didn't really have the time to watch it, but I watched it. And the Boyles did all this work with other people and lots of donations, redid the house so that it's handicapped accessible to him. They even bought new washing machine and dryer so that he can wash his own laundry. And they put a new microwave in the kitchen low, because most microwaves are up high and you wouldn't be able to reach it. His bedroom is amazing. They did the other son's bedroom too so that he wouldn't feel bad. And they made like a theater room with they got 3 chairs that vibrate and do all kinds of, and they can play their video games. And so, Mrs. Boyle, what's her first name? Anyway. No, not the mom. The friend that put all this together. Anyway, she did this, Beth, thank you. She did this video, and she was so excited and so excited. Okay, now they're on Pine Lakes. Now they're on this road. Now they're on this road. And she kept jabbering, and she took us on a tour of the house. And then finally, they showed up, and Caleb actually walked with a walker from the car all the way to the house and in through the house and got the whole tour. So he's really, really doing well. And then I'm sure they all collapsed after that. But it was so exciting to watch, and very thankful for all the donations from the community and all the work that people did. The bathroom is amazing. And the sink is low, special toilet, but it's a wet room, is what they kept calling it, a shower and a lower handle shower, but it's not, it's just flat. It's not defined from the rest of the bathroom. So the water comes out of the shower and just runs down the drain. So it's really going to work for him very well. Sorry, I went on and on. I got excited.
All right, Commissioner Bellinger, what else you got?
No, I'm good.
All right.
Sorry about that.
I'm not going to say any more wrong dates.
All right, Commissioner Bryan.
Yeah, I attended the Arts and Cultural Council event a couple of nights ago. It was, if you don't know, under the Tourist Development Council and the Board of County Commissioners, they've started forming an Arts, Culture, and Heritage Council. And a lot of folks don't really know the benefits of arts and culture within communities. I was on the board of St. Johns County, the Cultural Council itself. And the arts are not just the visual arts. I mean, we're talking about music, we're talking about sculpture, we're talking about, literature and film, and all of these kinds of things that encompass individuals using their talents in order to excel and also to express themselves. This is going to be huge for our county, for our beach, because we all know that we have a lot of art, we have a lot of culture within our own communities here. So a lot of the culture drives the arts, which we see throughout our communities. We see a lot of this on First Fridays. So it's very, very impressive, and I was very, very happy to see that occur. One of the ideas that they had there the other night was to encourage people to get more involved with the arts and also the Cultural Council. And they were also asking people to join the council as members. That's one of the things we did in St. Johns County. We increased our membership by hundreds. And this was enabling us to be able to bring in, for example, the Picasso exhibits. If you go on the website, you can find, St. Johns County Cultural Council that has different kinds of events going on all the time. One of the things that we also discovered is that communities that invite art and culture into their communities themselves, in the towns and all, for every dollar you spend, there are many dollars that's returned to those communities. So it's an investment in the communities themselves. So it's incumbent on us to get more involved with the Arts and Cultural Council. So that's one of the things that we covered the other night. They had some very good speakers, the police chief was there, and a number of elected officials from the county as well as Bunnell. So it was a great event, and really enjoyed it. There's still an exhibit there right now on African American art and culture, and they're also going to be having an extension of that. I think it's this Saturday, as far as the demonstration and tour of the arts themselves.
And on Sunday, there's a film by a group that I belong to. It's called Seeking Insights for Solutions. It's part of my University Women, the Flagler group, and paired up African American and white women, and they interviewed each other and what they learned about each other, because a lot of the white women came from areas that didn't have many black people. It was a whole different life experience. And so when they interviewed each other, they learned a whole lot about each other on both sides. And so 4 women then acted out those experiences in that film. So that's awesome. What the video is.
But I mean, the take home from this was that, you know, this is something we need to focus on. When you go through St. Johns County and you go through Cocoa Beach, you go through any of the communities, one of the things that you'll see from the 95 and from the interstates are the brown signs that'll tell you historic district. I mean, many times you notice that and you don't pay that much attention to it. But what that does, it actually drives people to those communities. You know, Flagler Beach, to a great extent, is a historic district, so it's something we may be looking at in the future as far as being able to promote the tourism and the art and the culture that we have within this community. Culinary arts are also something that you can get involved with, which I don't have any knives anymore, so I can't use them. Just saying. I attended the Tiger Bay Club luncheon last week, and the guest speaker was Kevin Doyle, the Vice President of State Affairs Consumer Energy Alliance, spoke about various energy sources in our country, energy independence, as well as the emerging energy sources such as solar, batteries, and the impact on the environment, and now and then into the future. So that's something that we'll see more of, and I thought it was very interesting for him to be talking about that. So this is a great presentation. Veterans Park Bench Project, we all know that March 12th will be the rescheduled date for us to work on those. I was at Home Depot today. They're very excited. They have their employees signing up for that. So with the volunteers that we have here, as well as the Home Depot volunteers, we should have a great project day where we can probably get all of the benches done. I've started to receive checks for the plaques to go on the benches themselves, as that will be the sponsorship for the veterans.
About what we're supposed to do about that?
I will actually send you an email.
You keep saying that, and I still don't know what to do.
Debbie got it.
I got it.
You got it.
Well, I didn't get it. I need to know what I need to know about the man's name.
I'll give it to you tonight, even.
And how much I have to give you. And
okay.
How much?
Anyway,
that's what I thought it was.
So anyway,
March 12th, just so I got the date.
March 12th. It starts at 8 o'clock. Starts at 8 o'clock. I will be there much earlier than that in order to get started, and we'll just work on them until we can get the project done. Powell Park, we've already covered that. I'm out begging for some materials and seeing what we can get. If we can't get free materials at a minimum, we should be able to try to get them at cost. At their cost. And that's a huge savings. So we'll be looking for that as well. Sadly to say, someone does not like cigarette butt receptacles on our boardwalk. They've been vandalized. But working with Rob, we will actually get them back into operation again. So don't know who the culprits are, why they're doing it, but they did it.
Would that new camera that was put out there pick it up?
No, that's an LPR, but we're going to talk in the strategic plan about the need for surveillance cameras to protect public property.
Good. Okay, the last item I have, and it's just something I just got to read here because I think everyone knows me. You know that I'm no nonsense person, and when I see something, I say something. If I see something that I think is inappropriate or something that's not being done right, I will bring it to your attention. I'll talk about it. So just bear with me for a minute here. As an elected official now and prior to this position, I've always taken pride in the fact that I have lived up to my oath, and I take it very seriously. And I take this to support and defend the Constitution and represent the people of Flagler Beach. It is impossible to satisfy everyone, but you make decisions based on doing the right thing and in the best interest of the majority. You can never, ever satisfy everyone. However, you try to do the best that you can. You make decisions to the best of your ability for the majority that you represent. I've never made decisions based on my own personal gain, politically or financially. While campaigning, and even now, it has been clear that the majority of residents of Flagler Beach want to have their own fire department, police department, and elected officials. Although we're a small city, we still have big expenses and responsibilities in order to be sustainable and to provide the best service that we possibly can for the safety of our citizens, that they expect it and they deserve it. In order to provide our city staffs and the necessary tools to do their jobs, expenses must be obligated. We cannot expect our police department to enforce and maintain law and order throughout the city 24/7 if their vehicles are not properly operated, they don't have proper equipment, and even the building that they're in is not sustainable or in working order in order to function properly and protect the equipment that's there. We cannot expect our fire department to respond to a burning home or someone having a medical emergency or other event if their vehicles, life support apparatus, and other equipment are not properly functioning because it happens to be old, not working, or their staff is not properly trained. For many years, the infrastructure, grounds, parks, equipment, and city-owned properties have not been adequately maintained. As a result, was allowed to fall in disrepair and sometimes blighted. Only recently have these issues started to be corrected. This is not extravagant spending. The rotation, updating, and budgeting of vehicles, equipment, and various other components are an absolute must if any city expects to continue to function properly. And this is not extravagant spending. You don't wait for equipment failures or someone to get injured before you replace necessary tools for our staffs that do a great job in our city. We're a small city with big expenses, just like the county. We don't get a discount on expenses because we're small. A lift station, a well, a wastewater treatment plant, a garbage truck costs the same as it does in the county. The difference is that the county has a lot more customers to spread the cost across. 2 years ago, we saw a large increase in our water and utility bills because for years, city leaders, for whatever reason, would not address the need to make adjustments to be sustainable. I take this job seriously and consider myself to be very conservative when it comes to spending hard-earned taxpayers' dollars. I have never, ever been one to sit quietly on the sidelines and not say something or pay attention to what's going on. I speak up and I speak out. As a member of this commission, I find it very disappointing and offensive that we're being portrayed in various medias as officials who are extravagant, complacent, and who are not accountable. This is wrong, and in my opinion, this is not true. This is not who we are. For nearly 2 years, along with others up here, have made tough but thought-out decisions on how to enhance the conditions and lives of Flagler Beach residents and the future. I make a point to personally study each issue and the potential impact that it might have on not necessarily the community, but the individuals. So I take my vote very seriously, and it's accountable. In closing, the idea that individuals would have the audacity to publicly portray this body as being complacent and extravagant spenders, in my opinion, is disrespectful to all of us, offensive, and nothing more than self-serving ploy for political gain. I'm truly disappointed and saddened that individuals will stoop to this level. I hope it will stop. I look forward to working with the rest of my commissioners for the rest of my duration. I do not do these things because of political gain. I don't do it because I want to get reelected. I have no aspirations for future political aspirations or elections. I haven't even decided if I'm going to run for another term. So everything I do up here is serious, and it's not extravagant. That's all I have, Mr. Chair.
All right, thank you. Mayor Johnston.
All right, I have a couple things with, we'll start with First Friday being March 4th. I wrote the date down, Rick. I just want to make sure that we'll have a police officer out at the crosswalk. I know that it's still dark around the time that it starts until we have the time changed. So I just wanted to make sure that we could have that.
As long as I don't have 7-hour COVID, they'll be there.
All right. Twice I've almost been hit. The next day, March 5th, is our first Saturday beach cleanup for Flagler Beach All-Stars. We meet at below the A-frame at the pier at 9 o'clock. So we hope to see lots of residents there. Our beaches are always with lots of tourists gathering lots of garbage and debris. So we like a little extra helping hands to clean that up. I was also going to bring up about the tent sale at the bottom of the bridge, so I'm glad that that was addressed. A positive that I have is the Flagler County Tax Collector's Flagler Beach branch had jars out on their counter, and they gave me $578 to donate to Veterans Park that we can use for anything. So a big thank you to the tax collector's office and the residents that visited and put money in the jars. So a huge thank you for that. Yes.
She is so good at that.
Yes, they are very productive jars.
You can't go in there and not
Yes. Jane, to add to your comment about the student who wrote the email, I also received the email. Luckily, I have a 7th grade investigator, and...
How will we find out if Jude is a boy or a girl?
She's already on it, but we've decided that it has to be Indian Trails Middle School because that is not a 7th grade civic project right now at Buddy Taylor. So we are working on that, as well as reaching out to that student to see. So I'm glad to know that we're going to invite them to the glass recycling. And tonight, when Brenda was discussing something, it actually triggered something to me, and I wrote it down, and she had mentioned how the Rotary does the Christmas parade. And I was like, oh my gosh, we're about 100 days out from the 4th of July parade. And we need to have a game plan. Okay, just making sure. I started all of a sudden have that sense of panic. All right, well, that's all I have. So that's it.
All right, thank you, Mayor. The only feedback I got is received a compliment about the portal for feedback on the city website. And the citizens were very happy about the response to concerns that were sent in. They said they sent in concerns. It got responded to. And I mean, it was fast, efficient, and
great. So,
for all the citizens that don't know about that, there's a feedback portal on the city website where you can submit concerns, and based on the way it's going, it's going well.
When did it go live? I didn't know it had started.
This is one we've had for about 5 years.
Oh, that one. Oh, okay. Now I thought we're doing something else.
If I may, Mr. Chairman, me and the city clerk's office do a great job with that. And one thing that we are going to start real soon, we're working on it, is that we will have a question on there promulgated through the website and through other social media that's basically allowing the citizens to provide us what they think the strategic priorities of the city should be in the future. And we'll have limited results to share with you by the time the retreat happens. So we're working on that now, and we're going to get that out pretty soon. I have the staff working on it, and we'll announce that as soon as we have the question ready to go and
okay, that's what I thought.
And the feedback, everything all set up. So,
okay, I got my things fixed up. So.
It's been there for a while, but it's being tended to, very quickly. And no.
It was probably our first compliment.
And that's all the feedback that I have. And I'd like to open up the second round of public comments for items on or off agenda. If you have any public comment at all, now is the time. You can come on up and just start with your name and address. Anyone for public comment? All right, seeing none, we'll close public comment, and I will look for a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Second. All right, we are adjourned.